Hey guys, it's Amy. Thank you for being on or watching the recording of this kind of pop-up business call for the Wellness Connection. I have so many exciting things to talk to you guys about. So this call is a little bit different. It's why I'm recording it because there's a few different things to go over. I'm really excited. I don't know if you can tell. I am really, really fired up today. Um, both out of the call I had yesterday, and then today I had a call. Then I got an email from corporate. So there are a lot of exciting things happening. Now, first thing I want to say though, we're going to talk about stuff from corporate. We're going to talk about the sprint call with Genevieve, and then we're going to talk about what is happening here on the Wellness Connection this week. So let's go ahead and start there. We actually have Amy Morton is going for Emerald, her and her team. And guys, this is huge for all of us. So if you're watching this and you're like, well, I don't know Amy, or I'm not on her team, so what does it matter? When somebody goes for a rank in this company, whether it's silver, senior silver, gold, all the way up to diamond, you want to be excited for them because of two things. One, high tides raise all ships, right? High tides raise all ships. And you want to be excited because it shows you and it shows other people that it's possible. Okay. And so anytime someone in the company goes for a rank or gets a rank, you should celebrate that. But I am really excited because this is the first jewel on our team. We're going to have another jewel team right here in the Wellness Connection. Now, Amy Morton is working really, really, really hard, but she cannot do it alone, right? And she's decided, you know what? She's working hard for Emerald, and it's going to happen either this month, next month, it'll happen in November. It does not matter to her. Amy has flipped a switch and decided to stop going for Emerald here and there when it looks like it might happen and just make it happen. But for those of you watching on her team, she can't do this alone. So I'm asking you, who are you messaging? Who are you following up with? Are you looking at your list of PV people, your dabblers? Are you asking for shout out posts? Who are you closing? Because this means when a leg becomes Emerald, when a team becomes Emerald, it means everyone else on that team is hitting their goals. So on the Wellness Connection, we also have a skincare messenger event tomorrow night. It's one of those 15 minutes events. We're only going to be talking about the Joyome line of skincare. So if you have anybody who's talked about that, anyone who's ever liked any of your posts or stories, who are you messaging to see if they want to check that event out? The reason I like talking about our skincare is because most people already pay for skincare. So you're not asking them to come up with a new line item in their budget for a gut health system. You're just asking them to, hey, when you run out of what you currently use, I want you to take that same money in your budget and try Joyome, okay? So think about who you're inviting to that. We're also kicking off a Healthy Habits 30-day reset in October. I'm giving away a Fitbit for people who get accountability partners. And then next week, we have our big Greens launch. That night, the same night that Greens launches, we're having a Fall in Love event over in the Wellness Lounge. Now, all of these Wellness Connection events are on the calendar. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about Greens and the launch as we move into the Jewel call. Okay, so that's what's happening on the team page. Once a month, the jewels on our team, the jewels in the company. Oh, hang on just a second. People are saying they can't get in. Let me see, making sure. There we go. Hey guys. Sorry, I think maybe I should back up. I've been talking for like 4 minutes. Heather, you may get this twice. Hey guys. So I went ahead and got started at 1. I didn't realize that when I added everyone to the waiting room, you guys were just all sitting there spinning. So let me back up just a second because you missed the very, very beginning. So I'm going to mute everybody. Feel free to unmute yourselves. But this is kind of a different business call today. It's a pop-up call. We're going to talk about a couple of things. We're going to talk about my call from corporate. We're going to talk about the call I had with Genevieve and then what's happening here on the Wellness Connection. So I'm recording it. If you have leaders on your team who want to know what the heck's going on, have them watch this recording. Okay. So let's talk about what is happening on the Wellness Connection. And this, Heather, you're going to get this double. But the big thing, guys, is that Amy Morton's team is going for Emerald. And this is huge for all of us. If you're on here or you're watching the recording and you're like, yeah, I don't even know Amy, I'm not on her team, what's it matter? It's important for two reasons when anyone in the company, goes for a rank, whether it's silver or diamond or any in between, because one, high tides raise all ships, right? Success on any team is awesome for all of us, but especially on the Wellness Connection. This will be the first other jewel team in the Wellness Connection. And it also shows everyone else, and it shows you guys that it can be done. And it shows her team that they're meeting their goals too. So I know Amy's on here. She didn't know I was going to say this at all, but she is working really hard, and she's going for Emerald whenever it happens. We're hoping it happens this month, but if not, she'll be that much closer to do it next month, right? She's decided to just stop going for it here and there and decided to make it happen. But if you're on her team, she can't do it alone. So I'm asking you guys, and this is where Amy's probably going to be like, oh my gosh, you totally ambushed me. Who are you messaging on if you're on her team? Who are you talking to? Are you looking at your PV list, your dabblers? Are you asking for shout out posts? Who are you closing? Are you being intentional to look and see those points? Because yes, it's ultimately going to help you guys become an Emerald team, which comes with a whole bunch of cool stuff for you guys as a team. But that's also going to put all of you closer to your success sprint goals, closer to your own rank goal, closer to your leaders retreat goal. So that's the big thing happening on the Wellness Connection. In terms of events, we have a skincare messenger event tomorrow night. We're only going to be talking about the Joyome line. And I was saying that I really like sharing the skincare with people because most people are already paying for skincare. So they already have it in their budget. You're not asking them to add a new line item to their budget for this whole gut health system that they've never bought before, right? So think about who you're inviting to that. We also have the Healthy Habits 30-day reset that we're starting to talk about. That's coming in October. And then next week is the Big Greens launch. I'm going to talk a little bit more about what corporate has in mind for that here when we get into the Jewel call. But that night, we're hosting a Fall in Love with Plexus event in the lounge. And we'll definitely be talking about greens in that event. Okay, so let me jump into the Jewel call. I can't see the Zoom because now I have my notes up. So if you guys have any questions, just put them in the chat and I'll check it at the end. Now, for people who might be watching this who are new, once you reach Emerald in the company, you're a jewel, and every single month we have a call with corporate. I just think it's so cool because the CEO, the president, the vice president of sales was on there, the vice president of training, Travis Garza was on there. We get to have that interaction with those CEOs. And I know my husband has been with Exxon for 15 years. He does not ever meet with executives. I mean, you want to talk about a pyramid scheme. He's a supervisor, but he's like so far down, he's not meeting with the CEO, right? So I just think it's really, really cool. So they talked today that next year's Jewel trip, we're going back to Kona, Hawaii. So you've got almost a full year to earn that. And then they also talked about this new gold school that is launching. They didn't give us any details, but I will tell you, and listen, I'm going to tell you guys some things that you cannot, if anybody asks you about them, you have to lie and tell them you don't know, okay? Because it was kind of fuzzy on what we could and couldn't tell our people today. So I'm living in the gray today, and I'm going to just play dumb and act like, oh, I didn't know. So I got all the jewels late last night. Got this, I was going to read it to you. We got an invitation, sapphires and diamonds, actually, which has never happened before. They're taking us in January over Super Saturday to corporate. And the language and such is almost like a huge company launch of something to help us be even more authentic, more relevant, more appealing, a company and brand you can showcase with pride, help your teams capitalize on the difference you have in Plexus. So all of these things. So something big is coming. And I think a piece of it is going to be, they're going to start doing this gold school, and then they want to create something for every rank to really be an even better resource for us for working our businesses at the corporate level. So like they will have a corporate led gold school, just like they provide Joule training for us. So I am really, really excited for all of these things that are coming. Now, remember, I was talking to Caitlin and Heather about this yesterday. Phase 2 is still coming with a completely brand new website. It's going to be in October. It's not going to be, they're not flipping the switch on October 1. But remember, it got pushed back because there were some glitches still when they tested the brand new website. There's going to be a quiz when people go on. It's going to be a 90-second sign up. So don't forget, all of that is coming. Okay. That is just, I feel like end of quarter 4, which is October, November, December. There's some big things brewing, but I think 2022 is going to be just incredible with more infrastructure from corporate for us. So Success Sprints is ending this month for quarter 3. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm 200 away from my goal and I'm going to go for it. And they were talking about on the Joule call, you do not want to stop or slow down on your Success Sprint this month. You want to take it through the next 9 days because, for one, it's still double credits. And a lot of those aren't reflecting on the live dashboard. You just kind of have to know what's been doubled. Because you can still earn, I only need 200. So technically, if I got 100 credits and they doubled them all, I would hit it. But they are saying that the retention credits for next month, which will count towards Leaders Retreat, you can't get those as many retention credits if you aren't recruiting people now. So new customers, new ambassadors now, you'll get the retention credits and you'll be that much further for Leaders Retreat. So technically you guys aren't supposed to know about Leaders Retreat. When they announced it in Mexico last week that we were going to Orlando, they didn't tell Jules not to say anything. So it's already out of the bag. So I'm going to share my screen and play the quick video just in case anybody missed it. And we'll talk here a little bit about Leaders Retreat. Okay, so quarter 4 Success Sprint is the Leaders Retreat contest. If you guys have been around, most of you guys on this call have earned Leaders Retreat at least once, if not more than that. So I know that our team knows how to earn Leaders Retreat. The contest is going to be just like it is now with Success Sprints. So I really want you guys to make sure you go into the Success Sprints and you see all the different ways you can earn credits, because there are a lot. To earn Leaders Retreat, you only need 700 credits and you get, the weekend at the Gaylord Orlando for you and a guest. And then they have different prize levels along the way. One of those will be 4 tickets to either Disney World or Universal. You'll get to choose. And I know a lot of us have already been talking. We want to earn that for our families and make it a family vacay. But really look at all the different ways, because before old school Leaders Retreat, like many of you guys, I'm looking at Nicole and Amy. I know you guys were on the cruise. I don't want to leave anybody out, but I just see your guys' faces. I know Betty earned Leaders Retreat when it was in DC. It used to just be you only earned things for new customers, new ambassadors, and your PV. That was it. Now you get all kinds of ways to earn those credits for retention. So when your people reorder, re-ranks count. When you or someone else re-ranks, for holding rank, right? There's tons of different categories to earn those credits. So they were pushing us here for this last week. They challenged all the jewels to add 2 more people this last week and leverage what we already have offered. So no social security numbers needed anymore, $1 enrollment, free actives. And then if you double this last week of your success sprints, it'll just lay the foundation for a much more solid leaders, because you'll get that big chunk of credits and retention that you wouldn't get otherwise. And that might be the difference between like earning the shopping spree or not, or earning the tickets to the park or not. Okay. And Genevieve hopped in and said there is no waiting in success. So now we're talking about greens, Plexus greens. Really excited. I haven't tasted it yet. Everything that I've heard is that it doesn't taste, it's flavored, what is it, garden berry. So it doesn't taste like your typical greens product, but they're doing a huge launch, and they are going to, on the morning it launches on the 28th, they're going to do an all field kickoff call. There's a lot to be excited about with greens. Okay. One, they are doing some drawings on the first week of launch, like what is it, 28th, 29th, 30th, that week. They're going to be giving away thousands of dollars a day for people who order greens and people who get someone to order greens. And then they're also going to be giving away some Peloton bikes, just drawings every single day as greens gets ordered. And so they challenged all of us to be posting and be excited about greens, because it fills a huge market that we currently don't tap. So when you look at people who typically do a greens product, one, there's definitely people who are already healthy and are just into adding more greens to their diet. But some niche markets are grandparents, older people, because typically their diets as people age aren't as diverse. They're not, I know for my grandma, she's not cooking for herself anymore. And so it's harder for them. And then also moms and kids, not only just kids who need to eat more greens, because kids typically don't eat green vegetables, but also moms who might be stressed out because their kids aren't eating enough greens, and moms are running around themselves not eating enough greens, or kids that may have some food aversions or texture aversions. Greens is just a really good product to get in the hands. And so Travis was saying, as he's talking about greens, he's thinking of 3 words: reduce, in terms of reducing the risk of disease, reviving the body with all of the phytonutrients, and then re-energizing the body by giving yourself a more balanced diet with the green. So really excited about that. And then right after greens launches, we come into October, and October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And if you forgot, or if you're brand new watching this, our first product ever when Tara bought Plexus as a company was the breast check kit. And so we still sell that. It's kind of our, hallmark product, the very, very, very first one. But this year they're doing a different spin on Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I'm not sure I'm allowed to tell you, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you because I'm really, really excited about it. It has nothing to do actually with the breast check kit, surprisingly. It's all going to be, we're turning our worlds green and pink. Green and pink is stronger than you think. That is their big October breast cancer awareness goal. So anytime we sell Plexus greens, corporate is donating $3 to a breast cancer organization. Now, last year, we sold breast check kits, and we raised hundreds of thousands of dollars on breast check kits. And so they want to raise double what they raised last year. And they are putting together, they're going to make it SIP for a cause, and they're putting together all kinds of videos we can share, stuff we can put in our stories. They're doing cover photos so we can all turn Facebook green and pink. And they're challenging all of us in the field to host 2 SIPs for a cause, okay? And get them on the calendar for October. And they said, 3 people make an event. So invite 2 neighbors to your house, invite 20 people from mom's group over, and make it sip for a cause. And then, of course, you want to have your pink drink out that people can taste and the greens they can taste. And then anytime you sell a greens, that's going to go back to breast cancer research. So I'm excited about it. I was already thinking, I don't usually host events at all, but I am going to host an event at my home. I'm going to invite the neighbors. I'm going to say it's sip for a cause. They're going to come try a new drink. There's another lady that does wine in the neighborhood. I thought maybe I'd reach out to her and see if she wants to host it with me together, but I'm going to do it. And I'm going to challenge all of you guys to do it, especially with all of the resources coming out behind us from corporate. I love when corporate gets behind stuff like this, and we can, turn social media green and pink, when we've got videos to put in our stories, when we can change our cover photo, because I think it just further legitimizes us and it makes people see us like, oh, that's a legit company. They're not a pyramid scheme, or they're not going to take our money. Like, it's legit. So I just love that. Okay. So that's all that came out on the Jewel call. Now I'm going to switch gears to the call with Genevieve yesterday about sprinting towards your goals and getting back to the winning day. And so she said, we got off track there for a few weeks, and that's okay. She said, even some of us have gotten off track in reporting our winning day. That's okay. She said, what's important is you do your winning day. And we've talked about this. I know Nicole and I have talked about this. There's the winning day template that we have. We're supposed to be asking 3 people a day. But for some people, your daily work looks a little bit different. And Genevieve said that's fine. The goal of the winning day is that you understand the rhythm of the business, the cadence. So as you do the winning day, that's what you're thinking about. So basically every day it's meet new people, warm up those people, see if you can solve a problem for them, and invite them to join. So that's the rhythm of the business when you're thinking about the winning day every single day. And she said, are you adding value to others people's posts and comments? Are you starting conversations with people? Because social media is networking. And then she started asking us if we were being intentional. So the whole next few minutes is going to be about being intentional. Because if you are being intentional in that networking, when you post, you'll get noticed, right? And then she also, in big, Genevieve, her big booming personality, which I love, she's like, then you'll stop being shy about having the Plexus conversation with people, okay? And then we started talking about seasons. And for some people, you're just not in a season of recruiting right now, or life took a turn or something happened. And she said, you know what? You have to be okay with the season you're in. And you have to be okay if you miss a goal. You have to be okay that, hey, it didn't happen to me. Like, I didn't hit my rank last month. Hey, I didn't hit my success sprint. If you're intentional in the work, it's no big deal, because you're not quitting, right? You're in the long game and you're just going to keep showing up. But you have to have faith that it will work out. And maybe you have to switch the game up for a bit, she said, but you don't walk off the field, right? She said, if you have a bad game, maybe you change your batting stance, or maybe you change, something, you don't walk off the field. So she said, if right now you are not getting wins with people joining, like you can't close anybody, then one, maybe you need to look at your close. Maybe you need to learn how to close, because it's a skill. She said, or maybe you need to change the game altogether. And if you don't even have 3 people to ask about Plexus, maybe instead you focus on just making 3 people feel good a day instead of asking for 3 shout outs or asking about Plexus. Maybe you do 3 gratitude calls, right? Instead of 3 invites. Maybe you call someone and say, you know what? I know it doesn't mean anything to you, but I really appreciate it when you like my post, because it does mean a lot to me. Or, hey, you know what? I appreciate you for being a customer for so long. Or, hey, you know what? You shared something the other day on social media and it hit home and I loved it. So I just want to tell you, thank you for sharing that. And she said, this is all meaningful work in your winning day. So don't think that you only have to ask. And I think that was really good for all of us to hear, because she said it's hard sometimes when you are the hardest worker on your team. So, and what she meant by that was when you're kind of the leader on your team, you're going to actually get the most rejection by default of the size of your team. And that's okay. You're not alone, but sometimes you need to maybe change the game a little bit. She said a lot of us are working really, really hard and not getting the results, and she understands that. And we're going to talk more about that in the coming weeks, but she's just reminded everyone the only way to lose with Plexus is to quit. So she said, throw away the timelines and really get into that mindset of intentional. Are you being intentional? And she said, listen, I love all of you, but if you're just posting on Facebook and then you're waiting for people to message you about Plexus, you will not hit your rank. You will not be a jewel. You won't earn the trip to Disney and Leaders Retreat. You won't make any of your goals. You have to show up for yourself and not just do it when it feels good, when it's fun, or every few months. So she said, what are you doing to be intentional? Doesn't matter why you didn't get 3 people. Doesn't matter why people quit. Doesn't matter why you didn't make the goal. You have to keep doing it until it works. You are not quitting. She said, quitting is a habit, but so is success. So start having those conversations to make success a habit. She got back again. Are you being intentional? And I'm like, oh man, this is the kick in the pants I needed. Are you going to events? Are you planning to go to the tour that's in your town? Are you planning events? Are you inviting to events? And she said, Jenna Hutula, who we all know, we all love her thyroid story. She was the one who was in a wheelchair and lost all of her hair and was wearing wigs. Now she's like, she looks super fit. She's running. She's healthy. She's got beautiful long blonde hair. Okay, we all know her. She ranked Diamond last month, but in the 8 months leading up to Diamond, she started doing a once a month in-person event. She used the PowerPoint from the Y Plexus. She played a 2-minute gut health video. She shared 2 quick stories. She had people taste the drinks, and that was it. Sometimes nobody showed up. Sometimes one person showed up. Sometimes 4 people showed up. But she kept doing that, and then months later, that was momentum to get her to hit her rank. So that was just an example of, are you being intentional, or are you sitting back and just waiting for things to happen? She said, events create excitement and success. We know this. So your strategy should be, we should all be taking dump trucks. That's what she said, I can't even say it. Dump trucks full of people to Leaders Retreat. She wants to double the amount of new people going to Leaders Retreat. So this made me excited too, because I thought that doesn't mean there's a cap this year. I think because it's like Disney World and Universal, there's no cap on that. And the Gaylord is ginormous, and there's 100 million other hotels in Orlando. We don't have to worry about being at capacity. So if you are wanting to earn Leaders Retreat yourself, then your strategy should be 2 new people going with you that have not gone to Leaders Retreat before. And because she said, if you get people to Leaders Retreat, the excitement and results from that event can last you through the next 6 months to a year. Okay. And then she talked more about, starting that now, so you get those double, or you get the retention credits next month. But then again, she went back and she said, are you being intentional? Or are you waiting for your sponsor to schedule events and make things happen? Or are you waiting for somebody to ask you about Plexus instead of reaching out? Are you still working this like a hobby? Have you kind of got in management mode? Maybe you're just going through the motions. Or are you a small business owner? Are you being intentional? And then part of that is, are you reading the book of the month? And I am not. The last one I bought was here. I did not do this one. So I have on my notes here, I have in big bold letters, all highlighted, Amy will start doing book club again. Because here's what Genevieve said. She said, guess what? If you're not reading it, your team isn't reading it, and your potentials aren't even reading it. I'm like, well, okay, I'm not reading it. But she said, listen, the number one question she gets from people, and that the business coaches get from people, is, how do I motivate my team? How do I motivate my team? How do I motivate my team? And she said, you cannot motivate somebody ever yourself. Only they can motivate themselves from within, right? Even someone who might be motivated by a prize, that is still their own internal motivation. And she said, that's what books do. if they don't read the books with you, if you don't read the books, you'll always feel like you're dragging your leaders with you, or maybe you're kind of pulling through the mud and you're always asking yourself, how can I motivate people? And she said, book of the month is a big, big, big thing for motivation. So again, in big giant letters, I am going to start doing book club again. We already know the book for next month. It is Trent Shelton's book, The Greatest You. So even though this Saturday is book club, it's Leslie Zahn. If you can be on, she's great. I actually went a couple years ago. She came to Houston, and me and some other Plexus people went and heard her speak. She's fabulous for network marketing and motivation. But I am going to do Trent Shelton's The Greatest You, and I will be showing up for book club, and I will be reading it and posting about it for that. So hopefully you guys will want to do that with me, but that's going to be something I do. And she said, listen, if you want to be a jewel, whether you like reading or not, you have to spend 30 minutes a day in personal development. So if your goal is to be a jewel at any point in the next 10, 20 years, she said it's a non-negotiable. And she said, if you're not spending 30 minutes a day in personal development, you are going to end up getting frustrated. You won't be as successful in your own mindset. Your team, you're not going to have a motivated team. And that's when people feel like they're frustrated and they're stuck because they're neglecting personal development and just focusing on messaging. And, you've got to have the personal development, she said. Are you being intentional with your closing? She said, some of you guys have a lot of potentials, but you're not getting new customers or new ambassadors. And she said, if that's you, if you have a ton of potentials, but you're not getting new people, then you don't know how to close yet. And she said, that's fine. You just need to learn the skill of closing. So she talked about that a little bit. She encouraged all of us to go to someone who is a recruiter who has added 3 or whatever and ask them how they close. But basically you always assume the sale. You give them 2 product options. And if they want a combo, then you tell them to sign the heck up. She said, you don't send them a billion options. You don't explain all the steps. You keep it simple. And so then she, had a hypothetical. Do you know how to close? Do your teams know how to close? Because it is not something people come to Plexus with a skill. I know I learned how to close by using throughway messages. I put people in with Sarah, and then I stepped back and didn't say anything. And that's how I learned. So I probably close like Sarah closes, very direct, assume the sale. You're going to love it. Here's what you want. Here's just do it kind of thing. So think about that. And if you're watching this, if you're on the call and you're like, oh man, I do have a ton of potentials and I am not getting any of them to sign up, then, reach out to your sponsor. Maybe you do just need a little, quick lesson or something on how to close. No big deal. She said, are you being intentional when someone says, what is Plexus? Because she said, if they ask, you should 100% know what free thing of value can you reply to them with when they ask. And she means samples, videos, events. So she said, you should always be tracking in your business too. How many samples do you have out this month? How many samples does your team have out this month? Does your social media post sometimes reflect those samples? So she said you should always be networking, always meeting new people, always asking for shout out posts, always sending samples. Are you being intentional? She said, if you're in car line, but other people are in the parking lot and they're chit-chatting, other parents, get out of your car, right? She's like, make it a point, 1 day a week, get out of the car, talk to people. If you're at soccer practice, don't sit in the car, get out and talk with people. She said, but think of things you love that you want to do anywhere where you will find your people. So somebody joined the church choir because they love singing, but that opened up a whole new network of people for Plexus, right? Another person has always wanted to learn to play golf, so they started taking lessons. Guess what? Opened up a whole new network. They met a whole lot of new people. So are you being intentional in your networking? Can you volunteer at the local library? Can you volunteer at your kid's school? Can you, anything like that to just get you around new people? Are you being intentional with your business? Are you going to chamber events? Are you going to some places, like I know our chamber has a women in wellness once a month. I'm not going to those. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to them. I already reached out to some sideline plexus people here. And I was like, do you want to work together and be like a guest speaker at the next chamber wellness event? And we'll talk about gut health. And they were like, yes, right? So are you being intentional going to networking events? I know Amy Morton, I'm going to call her out. She goes to a networking event like once a month because it seems like often we want to schedule a Zoom, but she's got this networking event. So are you being intentional? Are you going to HOA events? If you live in a place that has a homeowners association, do they have vendor events? Do they have networking events? Basically, she said, be intentional for your business and go to the things. And then she closed it and she said, listen, the only people that really you can rely on. So she was talking about sustained growing your business and being intentional. And she said, people on your team who have their own goals that they're going for at any given time, that's probably only going to be a handful. And that's totally fine. She said, but you got to stop thinking that you need a team of hundreds of leaders and hundreds of people wanting a goal to make it happen, because that's usually not what it is. Growth comes from new customers and new ambassadors just over and over and over and over, with just a small handful of people going for those business goals. And she said, you have to find a way to love the work you do, lean into the things again, like book club and the events, use what we have as leverage. And then she reminded everyone that you will get there, you will meet your goal. She promises you. And she said, your dreams are waiting. And that was it. Our next call, she hasn't told us yet. So I really hate not scheduling ours, just waiting on them, because most of the jewels, we don't work during the day. So it's a little bit easier for us to do last minute things, even though still they should tell us ahead of time. But I think the next call is going to be an all kind of posse call. So those teams like ours that are in the sprint program with Genevieve, you're going to be invited to a call and you're going to get to hear from Genevieve directly on the next one. So if you guys have any questions, I'm going to go check the chat, but you can unmute yourself and I'll go ahead and stop the recording.